Look, I bust a nigga shit wide open. Blink the fifth, the pussy nigga laying stiff with his eyes open. Griselda bitch, you know what's up. K bullets flip your Rover truck. Bare face so niggas know it's us. Only the dough we lust. The baking soda make the Yola fluff. I got this rap shit in the Cobra clutch. I'm shooting like a young Kobe in the clutch. I put a hole in you niggas, the doctors can't close it up. The rollie bust down, my homie touched down with like 40 plus. That's 40 bags of sour shit, we sold it up. My shooter sniffed till his nose is stuffed. The HK is folded up, have him unloaded for opposing us. Nigga blink wrong, they fool. The fuck niggas been dick riding so long, they think that shit cool. I'm about to flood my neck with big trinkets and jewels. Niggas don't want beef, they wanna keep this shit smooth, I promise.
Before we get into the trades, before we talk about the canceled game and the week 3 scores, I have to address someone. Tuesday morning, I got a trade offer from someone, and you guys may remember that I sent someone a message with a Crocodile Dundee gif that was implying that whatever they had sent me isn't a real trade because I indeed have the big knife. Like I said in the post, you don't have to come forth and say who you are because it's not important, and at this point, it would be in poor taste. Let's just run with this off into the sunset and no one cares who you are because, you're irrelevant anyway. I want you to know something. I want you to know that when you sent me that trade for that wide receiver on my team, I won't even specify who that wide receiver was. When you sent me that trade, it was so lame, and the person who you were offering was so laughable that I took a certain amount of satisfaction sending you that counter because I was dead serious about that counter. This isn't one of these statement trades or these statement offers where I send you an offer for your kicker in exchange for your number 1 player. This was serious. I was willing to put all my chips on the table with an 0-3 record. A blockbuster trade. None of the trades that were done, including mine, were blockbuster trades. But had this owner not been a pussy, maybe he would have pulled the trigger. I want you to know with an 0-3 record, I'm still willing to go there. I'm still willing to throw away my 2020 season. So all these fucking ankle biters can make fun of me with a low amount of wins or whatever ends up happening this season as a result of this trade. I'm still willing to do it. And you, being in a better position, won't even pull the trigger on a trade that would affect your team, but would also make your team a lot better because you are currently streaming the position that I was about to substantially fulfill for you. If that's enough of a clue for anyone, if anyone can read in between the lines and they understand what I mean, you take a look at my roster and you notice who somebody's been streaming or what position's been streamed this entire season. My offer would have pretty much changed their team. But they were too pussy to accept the offer. So I just want you to know that. I want you to know. This is your week 3 recap. Bundy here, you there. As you can see, I have my laptop. It's off and running. So we're going to get into these trades. We're going to get into this canceled game, the week 3 scores, and then I'm going to tell you to go fuck yourselves. What do you say? So we had 3 trades this week. Paul involved in 2 of these trades. We had the White Ranger and Charles Lee J. Ray. Let's get to their trade first. Charles Lee J. Ray sends Adam Thielen to the White Ranger in exchange for Devin Singletary, a wide receiver for running back, which all these trades were wide receivers for running backs. I think this was a very strong trade, 2 valuable players. What more can you say about that? Rolo Tomassi sending Terry McLaurin to Ewok Rape in exchange for David Montgomery. David Montgomery, who surprisingly he's been effective to some degree, right? I mean, At the beginning of the season, I said that I didn't want to pick up anybody that was in relation to Mitch Trubisky. I think I stand by that. I stand by my decision because Mitch Trubisky is just he's a ticking time bomb. But of course, Eric gets Terry McLaurin, who seems to be a young, I think this guy's a rookie. He looks like a rookie, as young as he looks. Young wide receiver there. So, let's see where that trade goes. Rollo Tomassi also traded David Johnson to me in exchange for Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp has built some value on my bench, of course. I started him the first 2 weeks, and his best week was when I benched him this week. And he's a valuable wide receiver. It hurt to let Cooper Kupp go, but you've got to make decisions, especially when you're in my position. You can't have a utopic squad. You can't have a great running back. You can't have a great quarterback with injuries and still expect to hold on to your strongest wide receivers. At one point, you just have to take a bet in the wide receivers that you selected and just hope that they come up with decent production. You just can't, and by utopic, obviously, I mean to have strong and effective players at each position. Sometimes you just have to double down on your strengths. And that's what we did. We doubled down on the fact that we have running backs, and we picked up David Johnson. But of course, the news of the canceled game, of course, hurts us possibly more than anyone else. Now, Orlando wanted to be cute earlier today, and he wanted to say that I'm scared of him, and my reaction to the matchup with him. I'm a terrified kid riding a tricycle while mysteriously there's like a bird that's tormenting me. That's Orlando's analogy. No. My reaction to losing James Conner while making this trade this week is that reaction, which has nothing to do with you. Because basically what this means is that my trade was meaningless for the week. Unless David Johnson plays at at the level that he played when he was a Cardinal, when he was a number one running back, unless David Johnson puts up a 30 or something like that, something that would probably be the total of James Conner and him, then my trade was meaningless for this week. Because I obviously picked up David Johnson to complement James Conner. So that is my reaction to that. Not facing White Ranger. You're a fucking White Ranger. You're fuck you. I told you you were the outer space season. So of course James Conner isn't playing this week. Juju Smith isn't playing for Andy. Ryan Tannehill will not be available for Jay, and Derrick Henry isn't available for Eric. Now Derrick Henry, that's a huge player considering the fact that was Eric's number one pick, if I'm not mistaken. But Eric is he's pretty backed up in the running back position. Not that Joe Mixon has been necessarily playing a great season, or Kareem Hunt is a world beater, but at the very least he has some backup. He picked up Mike Davis, who of course was Christian McCaffrey's handcuff. That's a fail on my part, but of course I didn't think Christian McCaffrey was gonna fucking be out. But he has some form of backup on his squad, enough to the point where he could give up David Montgomery and still have a backup to replace replace Derrick Henry. So he's not hurting that much in that department. This hurts me more than anyone. I mean, yes, it hurts Jay because Ryan Tannehill is his quarterback, and he swiped out Ryan Tannehill for, let's see here. Jay swaps out Ryan Tannehill for, who's the quarterback? They said, okay, so he picked up Joe Burrow, the star rookie for the Bengals. So, I'd say I'm in first, Jay's in second, Eric is in third, and Andy, Juju Smith. Andy was starting him, but he's not incredibly valuable. So that's unfortunate. I have no clue what's going to happen with these games. I haven't been watching ESPN over the past 24 hours. Maybe you guys can inform me and tell me what they're going to do. I thought it was going to be a situation where they were maybe going to play on Tuesday and still count that as week 4, but I don't know how they're planning on sort of balancing everything out, because obviously, the competitive aspect works its way into that. If I'm not mistaken, I think that's why the Tennessee Titans were kind of demanding that the game be canceled, because they never had the opportunity to practice with each other. They weren't going to get the opportunity to practice with each other this entire week. So the NFL season is a mess, and we know that this season isn't promised. And these are the signs. We've got ridiculous situations like these that affect legendary owners such as myself. So to wrap up this whole little trade thing, I'm just going to say that they were all solid trades. J. Ray and Orlando's trade was, probably the highest caliber trade. Just the way the offense is clicking in Buffalo. Who knows what Josh Allen is going to do with Delvin Cook. On the lower end, you have Montgomery and McLaren, and then David Johnson and Cooper Kupp. But I am the loser in all of this because as I said, David Johnson was meant to complement James Conner, not replace James Conner. So basically, that's what I did. At the very least, you could at least... Can I get a compliment for that? Last week I shitted on Joe because Joe didn't do anything about his Saquon Barkley situation, and I don't think Joe's done anything to replace Saquon Barkley at the moment either. I criticized Joe on that, and then I made a trade this week, because I wanted to make myself stronger in the absence of a Christian McCaffrey, or going forward, which is going to be the case. I'm going to have a pretty good flex player in David Johnson when all three of my running backs are back. So just expect Team Bundy to get better as the year goes along. Of course, will we reach the magic number of 6 to 7 wins, which is normally what you need minimum to get into the playoffs? That remains to be seen. So at least give me credit for that. Fuck Joe. He doesn't do anything. His ship is just sinking, and he's just fucking just standing around with his dick in his pants. I mean, yeah, Mark Ingram is a solid player, and he could come up with some production, but no trades on Joe's part. Joe's got Travis Kelce. He can offer up Travis Kelce to someone. He can move some things around. He lost him for the year. You lost Saquon Barkley for the year. I guess he doesn't feel that sense of urgency, but of course we here at Team Bundy do. But yeah, so let's move on to these week 3 scores. Of course, you had Team Bundy falling short up against Rollo Tomassi, 112-78. I did not have my Monday Night Miracle. 13 points from Lamar Jackson, 20 points from James Conner, 13 points from my Cleveland defense, but it wasn't enough to defeat Paul and his outstanding performance from Dak Prescott with 26, Delvin Cook with 23, and Nick Chubb, Andy, with 22 points. You also had Fuck You defeating the light-skinned delegation 84-73. Very close game. Austin Eckler with 19, 13 from Aaron Jones, and 11 pathetic points from Matt Ryan. You see, this is what happens with Matt Ryan. He'll give you those number one performances, and then he'll just go completely Ryan. It's just, what are you doing over here, Matt? Man, I'm just going Ryan. I'm just going Ryan. That's what he does. But Hensel picks up the victory nonetheless. 20 points from Kyler Murray. Let's see Ed's quarterback saga. I think this week was the quarterback points were the least of his issues. Let's see. He got 20 from Kyler Murray. 10 from Cam Newton. And okay, so Ed got it right this week. So finally, Ed's quarterback controversy has it's affected him in a positive way, because at least he selected the right quarterback. As I said last week, Ed's got an interesting choice for week 4 with Cam Newton going up against the Chiefs. Night Fox defeating Ewok Rape 124-120. If you guys, and I'm not going to try to dig for it. There were 2 recaps last year where I faced Eric and Andy 2 weeks back to back. I lost both weeks. And in those 2 recaps, I talked about how Eric's game was a game that I was supposed to win. But I did not, and my team lost that game. And then I had lost to Andy, where I also had an injury, but I never had the game within my reach. I think I had an injury early in the early games, in the 1:00 games, but it was just out of hand, and it wouldn't have mattered. I still would have lost to Andy anyway. So my reasoning of everything was to say Eric got lucky because I had these injuries. It was just. There were 2 injuries, and Eric still ended up winning by like 1 point or something like that. Maybe Eric remembers. But my point is this. When Andy went into this Monday night game and had his defense going up against the Kansas City Chiefs, it was a clear indication that Andy didn't know what he was doing. Andy just left it there. He left it in the lineup. He probably wasn't aware, because nobody in their right mind would leave that matchup the way that it is. It's not like Andy scored 15 points from his defense. No, they walked away with 4 points. And he was fortunate. They had to run back a touchdown in order to save Andy's week. Eric's kicker had to miss a field goal and an extra point. If I'm not mistaken, I think if he wouldn't have missed that, you would have had a 124-124 tie. So what I'm saying here is that, I feel that this was a game that Andy won out of sheer luck. And this is when I want an apology from Eric, where Eric accuses me of sort of having a troll kind of attitude towards things and saying, haha, I had an injury. It was my plan all along. No, that's Andy. Let that sink in. I mean, does everybody agree with me? Andy is the personification of the person who you're punching him 1,000 times. You're just punching him 1,000 times in the face, and then after you're done, he's like, "Tee-hee, joke's on you. Your hand's broken." It was my plan all along to have you kick the shit out of me to break your hand. That's Andy. Andy has the troll mentality. That's not me. I don't get injuries and say that that's my fucking plan, and much less my number 1 fucking running back, you piece of shit. So you take that back. So 124-120, Night Fox prevails against Ewok Rape. Night Fox, please stop posting those cringeworthy Night Fox pictures of that fucking that paperweight or whatever the fuck it is. No one even knows enough about the Oceans franchise to give a shit about who Night Fox is, by the way. Like, you're it's kind of similar to like this Rollo Tomassi bullshit, whatever the fuck obscure movie Paul's referencing. And, we all know Ocean's 11 and, whether it was 13, I don't know when the fuck that gay French dude popped up, but he's not even like a cultural figure. Nobody gives a fuck about him. Go back to the Mother Lovers, you piece of shit. La Bamba walking away with the Kirk Cameron Award of Fantasy Excellence, winning 139-74. J-Ray, of course, walking away. No, I'm sorry. The Light Skin Delegation walks away with the Tito Award, his second of the year. As I said, the Tito Awards are Ed 2 and J 1, but Pedro wins 139-74, 30 from Josh Allen, 30 from Alvin Kamara, and 18 from, I don't know what his name, Allen Johnson, or Alvin Johnson. I'm not sure. Here's Paul. You said the name's wrong. You said Alvin Johnson. Make your own fucking recap. You also had Keenan Allen scoring 17 points, Lutz 13, and 13 from Edwards-Helaire. It wasn't enough to take La Bamba's head off, and Pedro has officially changed his name to La Bamba, in case you guys haven't noticed. When I saw that about 20 minutes ago, I was thinking of just referring to him as La Barba after that, and just When he changes his name, I'll call him the name that he had before. But good on you, Pedro. La Bamba rolls off the tongue a lot better. And for the last game of the week 3 scores, we had the White Ranger beating the shit out of his own brother, 138-81. Orlando kicking the dog shit out of Joe for our amusement. 39 amazing points from Patrick Mahomes, 18 from his Tampa Bay defense, and 16 from Robert Woods. Joe got a great performance out of Tyler Lockett and a Drew Brees performance from Drew Brees, and 11 from his Indianapolis running back. Let's move on to the top scorers of the league. Rollo Tomassi is at top of this list with 360 points. You have Night Fox at second with 345. White Ranger tied up with La Bamba at 3 with 329. And Fuck You closing out the top 5 scorers with 323. After him is Joe, by the way, who has 254, and the person at bottom of the scoring list is Team Bundy with 243, meaning there is a 9-point difference between the 6th position and the 10th position. So that's kind of how this thing works. We are at the bottom. It's gonna be a fight all the way to the end, but as always, Team Bundy, I think we've always got the advantage, so you can't doubt us. Let's move on to these week 4 matchups. Team Bundy against the White Ranger, who is projected to get 102 points, while Team Bundy is projected to get 76 points. Lamar Jackson, David Johnson, we're getting out there. We're getting out there. Night Fox up against. I'm looking at the projections and I'm looking at the scores and I'm like, just god damn it! Like, can I fucking get James Conner? Can I at least get that? Can I lose with James? Can I die with my shield? Can I die like Lieutenant Dan on the field with my men? Like, why do I have to fucking go out like a bitch? Like an amputee. I want to I want to get shot in the head while I've got my fucking squad with me, and I can't even give you that, Orlando. Night Fox going up against Fuck You. This is, this is a very important game because these two fellas have been scoring, in the high digits. Hensel's team is perhaps one of the surprise teams of the year. Not because he picked Chris Carson, because as I said, the Chris Carson selection wasn't as bad as Andy's 2 selections. But just considering the fact that it's Hensel and his team's doing well. Rollo Tomassi up against Charles Lee J. Ray. The Light Skin Delegation versus La Bamba, and Ewok Rape against Joelicus Maximus to close up the week 4 scores. So, let's be realistic here. We know that if one game gets postponed, then we know that, this season is up in the air. And all it takes is one more COVID case from a player from Tampa Bay, and then, then the Tampa Bay game is postponed, and then the next week another game is postponed until the scheduling for the NFL is just going to become, it's going to become a headache. So, let's keep our fingers crossed and let's see what the fuck happens. So, as always, may your quarterbacks get hurt before they leave the locker room. May your running backs pull their hamstrings, and may your wide receivers get arrested for marijuana possession and catch COVID-19. Go fuck yourselves.